Hey guys, welcome back to Tiny House Customs. I'm Dan, and in today's video, I'm going to be installing my 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood on the floor of my trailer. So the first thing you got to do is mark both sides at 4 feet. I'm going to go 4 foot 1/8 because the sheets are a little bit smaller than 4 feet, and I don't want to end up with like a 3/4 inch gap on the end down there. So I already marked the other side the same. I'm going to take my chalk line and I'll snap this and make sure it leaves a mark on each of the joists. I'm using the same PL glue that I used for the rim board. I'm also going to put glue on this beam. This will give me a little bit of kind of barrier. I don't want squeaks coming from that. When you put your plywood on, just hold it so that you're running square with your line. Place your foot on it, because as soon as you drop it, it's going to start sliding forward. When you put your foot, just make sure you keep your foot down onto it. Go down all the way. You also want to make sure before you drop it that this is resting half and half on that joist so that you don't have glue going everywhere. I'm going to tack this corner first. I'm going to make sure I'm half and half on the joist and I'm good with my line. The nails I'm using are a galvanized ring shank. The reason they're I'm using ring shanked is because they bite on better and they'll hold the plywood better. And they're galvanized because this is going to be exposed to weather for a little bit of time and I don't want it to rust. I'm going to be using these nails for all the plywood on the rest of the house. My nailing pattern is going to be the same that I did on the bottom. 4 to 6 inches on a joint, 6 to 8 inches in the field. Now because that's running perfectly straight, I no longer need to snap lines, but I want to make sure that I get full coverage with the glue. So I'm just going to make a reference mark so I know where to put the glue. Now since this has a tongue and groove on it, I want to make sure that the tongue's going into the groove. I also check to make sure that that groove doesn't have any debris in it and it's clean, no imperfections. I'm going to make sure I'm half and half on that joist. Place my foot on it, pull back, didn't get it. So when I get the piece where it needs to go, make sure that it's kind of in the groove a little bit. Just get a scrap block of wood, place it against the board like that, and then get a sledgehammer. Not a splitting maul, a sledgehammer. This is dangerous. You want to leave about an 1/8 inch gap on the end there. Sometimes the plywood's going to have a little bow in it, so I want to make sure that it's down tight. So I'm going to put all my weight right on top of that and I'll nail it. I want to make sure there's nothing on my joist that's going to cause it to bow up. A little bit of glue there from earlier. If you're having trouble getting the groove in there, what you do is lift up this piece, slide it in there. That was pretty good. Might need a couple baby taps. That's pretty good. When you're nailing, if you're having trouble nailing in a straight line, you can just snap a line. Use your nails as a reference because you nailed the top of your sheet. Whew, it's been years since I work like this. I used to do this every day. Once all your plywood's down and it's all nailed down, you can go back and just cut everything that was left long. Now for the wheel well, I have metal underneath here. So I want to make sure that my blade is set to the exact depth. If anything, just have it up just a hair. When you're cutting your plywood, you always want to make sure that the plywood's back from the framing, just a hair. I mean, this is a little bit too much, but at least an 1/8 inch. Because when I go to stand my wall up, it's going to have plywood on it, and that plywood needs to be able to get down and sit tight with this. And if this plywood was sticking out just a hair, it would put a bump in my outside plywood. Made sense. This is a little tip that I used to do when I was measuring plywood. You can measure in and you'd read 7 7/8 and you could transfer it back up here. But what I do is I just take it, I bring my finger right up to that point. My bottom finger is good with that point, and then I can hold it right there, and that's my mark. It takes the thinking out of it. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the plywood's not exactly 4 feet, and since my trailer is exactly 20 feet, each sheet that I put made it shorter and shorter and shorter. So I end up with this piece that I'm missing. Now, there's going to be a 3.5 inch wall that sits on top of this, so there's not going to be any people walking in this area, and that piece of plate is going to join these two pieces together. So I'm just going to rip some 3/4 inch plywood, and I'll put it in there. I won't worry about the groove at all. So I'll measure for my piece in several spots to make sure it's all running the same. 1 3/4 inches. Another way you could do it is just put the piece in, nail it in, God, I'm gonna need a new camera after this project. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys.